This episode is brought to you by InVeedHemp.com. Inveed has been my choice for my CBD needs for almost a year now, and I can't begin to tell you how it has improved my life. They come in 3 formulas: Clarity, Relief, and Relax. I take a Clarity drop in the morning with my coffee to get me focused, then a drop of Relief for my aches and pains and inflammation after a run or a workout. Then I do a drop of the Relax before I go to bed to help me sleep. I've gotten some of the best sleep that I've had in years, and now with my Whoop band, my recovery band, I can prove it. And now they've come out with a new mixture called Immunity, which we all need to stave off COVID-19. The Immunity Boost is a mixture of turmeric, grapefruit extract, elderberry, licorice root, and vitamin C, which we all could use a little bit more, I'm sure. I just got my first shipment in and took my first drop this morning. They come in drops, which is my choice, a tincture, roll-ons for those aches and pains, and then also gummies, which I think a lot of people out there use the gummies. So you can get it however you choose. So go place your order today. Go to InVeedHemp.com and use the code GURU20 for a 20% discount for life. CBD is a great supplement to keep you healthy and safe during these crazy times. This episode of the Golf Guru Show is sponsored by Straight Down Golf Apparel. I am very excited to announce that I have become a brand ambassador for Straight Down. Thank you so much for Mike Rowley and the team for inviting me into this family, and I am very excited to start to share the mission that I feel very strongly about. As Mike Rowley founded this Straight Down company in 1989, which started as a small t-shirt company, but shortly grew into a full-range golf and lifestyle apparel brand that is now worn by some of the top athletes in the industry and now by the Guru, which I'm super, super excited about. His love of golf translates into the products, and this stuff is awesome. I can't wait to share some of the stuff on Instagram and the videos I'm doing for Swing U and with all of you. So if you want to know more about this brand, go to straightdown.com and check it out. So let's get to this week's episode with Coach Polk Brown.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
You know how to cut to the core of me, Baxter. You're so wise. But like a miniature Buddha covered in hair.
I want to become a guru so girls will like me. Then I will like myself.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1. No touching of the hair or face.
Of course.
And that's it! Now let's do this!
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Golf Guru Show. I am Jason Sutton, and I am the Guru, where it is my mission to interview the top golf instruction minds in the business, break them down, get them to share all of their stories, best practices, and information that made them great and successful, and then ultimately share it with all of you so we can all get better at teaching and coaching this crazy game. Make sure you download this episode and hit that purple subscribe button so you don't miss any future shows that will be coming your way. My guest on this episode is Coach Polk Brown. Coach Brown is the head men's and women's golf coach at Tennessee Tech University. Little bio on Coach Brown: he played golf at Tennessee Tech on the same team as PGA Tour player Scott Stallings and has been coaching at Tech since 2011. And has done a fantastic job in growing that program. In this conversation, we get into so many great topics that will help the aspiring college golfer and for you college coaches that have players out there that want to play college golf. So pay attention. Coach Brown is not only a great coach, but an even better person, which is what drew my family and our son Nicholas to want to play for Tech and for Coach Brown as he just finished his freshman year for the Golden Eagles. So without further delay, let's get to my conversation with Coach Brown. Enjoy. All right, Coach Brown, welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to chatting with you for a bit.
Absolutely. So what have you been doing to keep busy in this kind of crazy time with quarantine, and then also, the dead time of not really being able to recruit like you normally would?
Wedding planning. I better say that first.
That was going to come up.
Yeah. So, I mean,
congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah,
and everybody, I guess, get lucky every once in a while. She's a good one. So, been doing that. I mean, she's been doing a lot of that. We actually drove back and forth to the site the last couple of days, kind of everything going on.
Right.
If you hear something in the background, that's my dog.
I can hear the puppy.
Listen, I got to say, forewarning, like, every time I do a Zoom call or a phone call like a recruit, it's without fail, Knox starts whining about wanting to go outside or gets a toy and just starts going to town.
It's okay.
So I'm sorry for the background. But
I get the same thing on this side with Hogan.
But been, Coach Smith and I have been planning for the fall. Started working on the calendar the other day. Been getting stuff ordered. I mean, we're going with the mindset now that, like, we're going to get to do this in August, so we're just preparing with assuming that we're going to be going. So
right.
We've done, phone calls and emails and Zooms with recruits. We've done Zooms with the team. And I've tried to play a little bit of golf, not well, mind you, but tried. But it's been, I mean, obviously we want to be out there watching people and having them on campus and everything, but in another way, it's kind of like, well, you know what? This will probably hopefully be the only summer we have like this.
Right.
So we'll try to enjoy it, and then hopefully here in about 6 weeks we'll get going.
Yeah, I hear you, and we'll get into some recruiting stuff as
Sure.
we get into the conversation. But I wanted to start in kind of an unusual place, as I've done some research for this conversation. Reached out to a mutual friend, which we'll not mention her name.
Sure.
But we have an affinity for superheroes. It sounds like.
Yes. Yes.
So talk about your favorite superhero and then why that is, and then I got a follow-up question after that.
Iron Man. I love Iron Man. I like them all, to be honest. I just love superhero films.
I do too.
I'm really sad that Black Widow was supposed to come out like 2 months ago.
Right.
And now it's like October, I think. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it got pushed back again. Wonder Woman was supposed to come out like a month ago. We're supposed to get the Eternals in November, which I know nothing about the Eternals. I knew nothing about the Guardians of the Galaxy either, but when I saw those, I was blown away. So,
right.
Hey. But I love Iron Man. I love Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr., I mean, I knew a little bit about him before he took on that role, but I mean, golly, to watch all 21 or 22 of those films and see, I mean, he was basically the centerpiece of the whole Marvel universe for until I'm not going to lay any spoilers out there, but I love his just the way he I don't know, I just love the way he presents himself. I love his the way he jokes around and sarcastic sense of humor, and the fact that he can just do anything in that suit. I thought it was like, man, that would be so cool to do that just for a day.
I was going to say, my follow-up question was like, what superpowers would you want? And then, to be able to fly around like that and be like almost invincible would be pretty cool, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think a close second would have to be Wolverine. I mean, I love Logan, Hugh Jackman. I don't know how they're going to replace him.
Dude, you got it. I just listened to a podcast, or the beginning of a podcast with Tim Ferriss. He's on the Tim Ferriss show.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Yeah, you got to check that one out.
Man,
big fan as well.
Yeah, I mean, when they announce, I'd say it'll be a few years before Fox gave up their rights to Disney Marvel, so like they're going to redo the X-Men and they're going to recast everybody. I can't wait to hear about who they get for him. I mean, it's going to be crazy. I can't wait. I'm such a nerd, but I love it, man.
I love it too.
I love it so much. I mean, I'll go watch them opening night. I've gone. I think there's been times where, like when Logan came out, I went and saw it, and the very next day we left for a tournament. Even though I went and saw it the night before, I don't care. I'm going to go see it opening night if I can. I love it.
I'm with you, man. I got a question. When I was on the other side of the mic, and I'm a Batman guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
why.
Oh, yeah.
Most people say Superman, but like I just love Batman because he kind of started from scratch and doesn't have
doesn't have superpowers, really.
Right, exactly. Sort of built it in and all the cool gadgets. So
What do you think about Robert Pattinson? I'm interested to see. I mean, look, hey, everybody thought everybody thought Heath Ledger was going to be awful as a Joker, and he was unbelievable. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And it was supposed to come out like in 2021, and now that's going. I mean, I will definitely go see it. I will definitely go see it.
That's the one downside of this pandemic has been the movie business being pushed back. Yeah, you know, Netflix is going strong, but everything else is just because I'm such a movie nerd as well. Right. So that's crazy. So let's dig into your backstory a little bit before we get into some college golf and recruiting and coaching. Talk a little bit about how you got started in the game, how you became a D1 golfer as you played at Tech, and then how you became a coach and sort of all the decisions that went along with that.
Started playing golf probably the summer before my 7th grade year, I think. My mother worked with a lady whose husband at the time played golf. I didn't even know what golf was. I was big baseball. I played basketball and soccer too, but baseball was probably my main sport. And so unbeknownst to me, my house was literally no more than 5 miles at the most from a driving range. I had no idea. Didn't even know I lived next to a golf course, which was literally a mile away. And so my mother's friend and her husband asked us to come out to the range one day, and I went out there, and I didn't get one ball in the air. I mean, I hit 50 balls. Not one ball got airborne. Probably missed quite a few. Most of them were little dribblers out through there, and I don't know why, but I really liked it. And so got a junior. My dad got me a junior set. My dad, much older father when I was growing up. So, I mean, we didn't really – I mean, he would come out and watch me play baseball, but we didn't really – we would throw football with each other. But for the most part, it was just he would drive me out there and, watch me hit balls. He would take me out to the range in the mornings before my mom got home for lunch from work, and we would go hit balls. And we had these junior golf clinic things. There's 4 courses in Rome County, Kingston, Tennessee, where I'm from. That county area, they did a junior golf clinic where every one day every week we would do 3 hours. We do a little short game session with whoever's helping us at that course, and then we would play 2 or 3 holes with a parent that would chaperone us. And man, the first time I ever hit a good shot, I was like, holy cow, I want to do that. I mean, you hear the stories, I want to do that again. How do I do that again? And so we went out I remember going out to the range, and my dad knew a man by the name of Paul Morton, who everybody called Demas. And he's still alive today. He's not doing so well, but and he kind of showed me the only thing he came out. I remember him walking out the door at Henley's driving range, and he was like, I'm Demas, and I was like, I'm Polk, and of course I didn't know what was going on. And he's like, I'm going to show you something. And so he showed me, the overlap. He just showed me that one thing.
Shows
he's like,
you the
here,
grip.
try hold. Yeah, because at first, I was holding it like this, or
Sure.
when you first do it, you're holding it like this. And so he showed me the overlap grip, and I just started. And then basically, I've been doing that for 25 years, and then my dad kind of set some lessons up with him, and Demas and my dad have been really good friends for a long, long time, and so he helped me out and got me started in it. And then I remember probably right before I got out of middle school, now it's called the SNEDS Tour. That's the junior tour circuit here in Tennessee. Yep. And it used to be called the Vince Gill Junior Tour, where really it's light years better now than it was back then. I mean, I thought it was awesome back then. But so I signed up for the junior tour, and we got to play 5 one-day events. Of course, now it's way different. My first tournament was in Crossville, a place called Deer Creek. You drive by it on the way to Kingston now from here in Cookeville, and I don't even know if it's a course anymore, but I'll never forget that first tee. I mean, I was so nervous, and I still get nervous now when I play, but I was so nervous then. My knees were literally shaking. Shot 81, and I was like, wow, I'm good. And, and from then on, I was pretty much hooked, and we didn't have a middle school team back then. Of course, this was mid-'90s. And then when we got into high school, I really started to take it more seriously. And,
when did you feel like you had a chance to maybe play golf in college? Was there a moment or a tournament?
I didn't think about college golf really until my junior year. every year we were getting better. We were fortunate enough, our program, to go to the state all 4 years I was in high school. We won it my junior and senior year, came in second.
Wow.
My sophomore year, fourth my freshman year. But, I mean, I was still – really from my sophomore to my junior year made a big jump. I mean, we would play in the summers. It was awesome before you could drive. You know, where your parents had to drive you, so you had no choice but to stay there even if you wanted to leave.
Yeah, you might as well play or practice.
I think in some ways that was so much better than when you had a car and you could drive. But Mom dropped me off before she went to work at 7:30. This is in the summer. We'd play 18 holes, grab a hot dog, play 18 or 27 more that afternoon at Lakeside, 9-hole course, easy to walk. Just a little pitch and putt play. So my parents live there now, my mom and my stepdad. And then we would go home, eat supper, then go to the range. So it was life.
Yeah.
And but really started thinking about my junior year. Of course, I had no idea what recruiting was like back then. I had no idea I was like, I'm going to go to Clemson. Oh, okay, yeah, sure thing. Yeah, you're going to go to Clemson when you're out there shooting 75s all the time. But and my senior year, I had a couple friends that had already gone off to college like the year before me, like Jonathan Cox. He's a year older than me, a great friend of mine still to this day. And he mentioned my name to Coach Nichols. And really, I mean, the recruiting process for me was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I mean, that was the only scholarship offer I had. Only visit I took, and it's 67 miles from exit to exit.
Right. So it was far enough away, but not too far.
Yeah. By the time I got into college, it was just me and my mom. My dad passed away my sophomore year in high school. And she was obviously cool with it, and that's kind of how and long story short, that's how college golf came to be. And, my career, I played for 5 years. I redshirted a year. In the middle of my career, after 2 years, then I redshirted a year. Then I played 2 more. That's a whole other story. But,
let's talk about that a little bit, too.
Okay.
You got to play. I mean, don't skip too far forward.
Okay.
You got to play with some good players, and you played for a really, really legendary coach.
Mm-hmm.
So we can kind of dig into that. Scott Stallings was one of your teammates and really good friends with you. And so talk a little bit about that time. Like what did you notice, or was there any signs of like this guy's going to be different than the rest of us or the guys you're playing against in college and maybe have a chance to play at the next level? And what did you learn from him?
Golly.
I know there's a lot.
Well, I never even heard of the guy until he came on a visit back in it was the fall of 03. That was the year I was redshirt in 03, 04 or 02, 03, I think, because he came in 03, 04 his freshman year. And just it was so effortless to begin with, but I think the thing that impressed me the most about him was like he had such a sense of peace out there playing golf. Like me, I'm a stress to the max, scared to death, wishing to hit a good, hoping and wishing and all that. I mean, I feel like I had a decent career, wasn't nothing to brag about or nothing. But
you made some all conference teams. You like don't sell yourself short.
Well,
you had a pretty solid college career.
He never complained about a thing. Which our group I thought was pretty special. I mean, there wasn't a lot of complaining. It was like go out there and do the job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're here to. Coach was very. He owned a golf course, Ironwood, which has since closed. Awesome place, loved it. And he was so. He trusted us and gave us the ability to go out and do what we needed to do. I mean, we had some team practices here and there, but Scott, I think his jump from his freshman year to his sophomore year was incredible. I think he averaged around 75 his freshman year. Then his sophomore year, he dropped all the way down to like 72.5 or maybe 73, something like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, he had no wins or all tournaments his first 3 semesters. In his last 5, I think he had 7 wins and 19 all tournaments.
Wow.
I mean, it was once he won that first tournament, it was off to the races. And but it just impressed me. He was so at peace with being out there. Like there was no worries, there was no fear. Just his mindset.
When I had him on the podcast, I asked the question obviously, and he talked about the conversation that he had with
Yeah.
Coach Nichols of like, hey, maybe you're special, but you're not doing what I want you to do, right?
Yeah.
And did he ever talk to you about that conversation, or was there ever anything that came up where like, hey, or maybe it was his actions, right? And this is a good lesson for your team and a lot of college golfers out there that, you know, your actions speak louder than your words. But he sounded like he just kind of got his act together and said, hey, let's put the work in and see what happens. Was that sort of that timing?
Yep. I personally, I don't remember the conversation him and Coach had. It could have been after we had all left, because I mean,
yeah, I think it was in private, but I didn't know if he like maybe mentioned it to you.
All right. So his first year, I mean, we really got to know each other probably the last couple of years of his career. I mean, we obviously were around each other all the time, but
right.
We got close those last couple of years. But I remember his first year, he wasn't he didn't seem very, like, putting golf aside, like he didn't seem like he was happy there. And I mean, I think a lot of college kids, they go through that kind of thing, whether you're playing a sport or not. And I think like, he had his heart set on going somewhere else. I can't remember if he discussed that with you or not.
He did, yeah. It was Tennessee, right? I think that was the thing. He thought maybe he was too good for the program.
Yep. I think that's fair. As far as like he probably was still thinking, I wish I was in Knoxville. You know, so
that's what he said.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And I think like, but you could definitely notice a change. I think after his freshman year when he came back, Coach saying that to him obviously changed everything. And as we got closer, and he was so okay, like most college kids, most college athletes, they're not going, especially at this mid-major level. And I'm not trying to be, I mean, obviously I love Tech. I'm not trying to say this to disparage mid-majors, because it's awesome. But most players at this level aren't thinking about, they're not going to bed at 9. They're not going to bed at 8:30. They're not staying extra for workouts. They're not saying no to the what's the word I'm looking for, like distractions.
Absolutely.
He did. His last 2 years especially, like 04, 05, 05, 06, while I was playing, and then his last year 06, 07. It was all business. You had school, but heavily involved in campus ministry type things with FCA and things of that nature. But he was all business. Like, there was no bull. When he came to the golf course, it was to get work done, and he was just so impressive. We had a solid team. We were very competitive, but he definitely stood out above the rest. I think, when you're looking back on it, I'm 37 now, and I was like, I'd give anything to have a tenth of that kind of mindset. Not that I wasn't focused on what I was doing, but there was so much more there to be had. And that's a conversation I try to have with Nick and everybody else. And look, when you're 18 to 22, it takes a special kind of kid to actually like take that and run with it.
Absolutely.
Most, and I have to remind myself that they are 18 to 22 a lot. Because
me too.
This is a whole other conversation, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second. But
that's okay.
But when I think of Scott and I think about the success our teams had, but we could have had more than we did, which every team can say that. I know that, but I think if everybody would have really been more cognizant of how he was going about his business, because some people, when they continually hear about somebody, they tend to like, okay, well, he's doing his thing, I'm going to do mine. He may be doing this, but like, I'm going to show him I can do it this way when their way ain't going to work. So, and I think some people like, I'm not going to lie, I was envious of him. Not jealous per se, but I'm like, man, you just make it look easy. It's not that easy. I remember we've had conversations about that, and we were honest and real with each other. I think my mindset changed after my sophomore year somewhat, when I kind of was going through some burnout and not playing good golf. And it certainly meant a lot to me, but not near as much as it probably should have. But I think he just taught me, he's like, look, you don't need all the bells and whistles at any school to make it if you want it bad enough. You saw what he shot today. He's tied for the leader. At least last time I saw he was. Maybe he's one back or something now. But
he shot 7 under.
Yeah, so I mean, and I played with him about a month ago, and it is still effortless. 15, 20 years later. But I mean, like, you don't need that people are like, oh well, what if we had this? What if we had that? You don't. If you've got this, like the heart, then none of that. You're going to find a way, and that's the thing that was most impressive about him.
Yeah, it was almost like he was looking at, for whatever that, the switch flipped where he's looking at the bigger picture and said, hey, I may have a chance beyond school to maybe do something with my golf. And he started preparing for that early on. He
just wasn't going to be denied. I mean, I remember he told a story, and I didn't mean to cut you off. He told a story about we had a teacher, a money and banking professor here at Tech, and he was a business management major. And he told me this story about one of the teachers asked him what he wanted to do outside of college. He's like, well, I'm going to play pro golf. And the teacher was like, I mean, he was skeptical, very skeptical, which I understand that. I mean, it's a very minute chance you're going to make it. And I remember, like, I wish he would come back and be like, hey, you remember me?
Yeah.
If you don't, go to PGAtour.com. That's where I am.
That's exactly
so,
right.
I mean, I just thought, like, I mean, even when we did workouts in the morning, nobody wanted to be there, but you could tell, like, he was all in. It wasn't more. I mean, yeah, he was vocal, but it was certainly a lot more example laden leadership, and that's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But you can achieve your dreams and everything you want in this life, and you don't have to have everything to do it as long as you've got the heart.
That's right. I mean, I know Nick had reached out to him when he was trying to make his decision about Tech,
sure.
And he said, "Hey, look, it's miles better than when I was there." And the biggest point that I took from his message was he said, "You can get better anywhere you want if you put your mind to it."
That's exactly right.
And I think it's such a great life lesson.
Yeah, his attitude was just always, I mean, so positive, and I mean, it was just infectious. I mean, I would give anything to go back and just latch on to him and be better than I was, So
well, but it's okay because I mean, I'm sure you've taken a lot from what you learned from that experience, and you're putting it into your coaching now. And that's kind of what I was leading into is like,
Sure.
Talk about how you, because I know you turned pro and got into my side of the business for a minute, right? And then decided to coach. So talk about that journey and then how Coach Nichols maybe inspired you as your mentor and in some of the things you learned.
Sure. So, I mean, when I finished school, I went and worked for about 15 months at Holston Hills Country Club under Chris Dibble, awesome guy. And I was going to get in the PGA program. I had signed up for the, what's that thing called? The PAT. I remember I was going to do that. And then, like, being there every day and seeing people play golf, and I'm stuck inside. I mean, it's not an excuse, but the reality was I got burnt out on golf, and I didn't even play.
Right.
But I mean, kudos to Chris. I mean, golly, what a great place. But then I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. So now what do I want to do? And so I took some time, and in January of 2009, I came back to Tech, and I was going to teach math. So I got certified to teach math in middle school and high school in the state of Tennessee. And while I was doing that, I worked on my master's in education because I was like, well, if I'm here, I'm just going to kill two birds with one stone. So I take undergrad in the morning, and I take graduate classes at night. In my first semester of coaching in 2011, I was finishing up my undergrad student teaching at the same time. I don't know how I got through that, but anyway,
you just do it.
Yeah. So when Coach passed away in 2008, it was March 16th, 2008. Like I definitely wanted to take it over then. And Mark Wilson, my boss now, and he was the AD then too. Like he decided to go a different way, and that's cool. And turns out, I think 3 summers later, like in June of 11. Found out the women's coach was going to step down, who coincidentally enough played with me at the same time. We were here together. She played on the women's team, and I got a call, and they were like, "Hey, would you be interested in this?" I was like, "Well, sure, yeah. I mean, I would love to." So I came up and talked, and then things just kind of happened quickly, and they decided to, because when he passed away, they split the programs up into a head coach for each. They were working part-time. They had another job, so it was a difficult situation to find success, and they decided, okay, we're going to put them back together. And they asked me to do both. And, of course, here we are going in my 10th year. But Coach, I mean, golly, he'd still be doing this today if he were alive, I think. Which is, hey, I mean, just the most positive person, nicest guy you could ever meet in your life. He looked for the good in folks, treated people right, and that's what I try to do with the teams. I mean, certainly you got to push them. You got to hit them with some hard truths from time to time. But at the end of the day, I want to try to treat them the way I want to be treated, whether that's reciprocated or not. You want to do that. So,
that's right.
And I think he was just always hopeful, for every player that they could achieve their best. And I think that's what Amanda and I both try to do as far as be a positive influence on them. And I certainly wish Coach. There's probably some times where he could have been a lot harder on us than he was. But I just take away his positivity and his hopefulness for all of us.
Right.
That's the thing I take away from him. And I mean, it's had some ups and downs, but I think for the most part it's been really, really good.
All right, so let's transition a little bit into recruiting, right? So I know
Sure.
It's been a challenging year for you coaches, and before we talk about players, just talk about the challenges you've had with the quiet period now being pushed back, and then how you've been able to do anything, and maybe we can talk a little bit about how the rules have changed over the years as well, because I know you've seen some changes. So just expand on that a little bit.
Well, I mean, like I said at the beginning, we're basically relegated to email conversations like you and I are having, on this Squadcast, Zoom, whatever, phone calls. I mean, I had a young man that I talked to today was asking where are things at with your 21 class, and I'm like, hey man, I mean, basically about where everybody else's is. I mean, it's I feel for them. I do.
Yeah.
The 21s, the 22s, maybe even the 23s, it's going to be a little bit of a trickle down because our spring sports, they can decide if they want to take that extra year.
Right. So that cuts into your budget a little bit, right? So
the amount of scholarships we can offer.
Right.
And, I mean, in a perfect world, we would have already been to several events, had a lot of folks on campus, and we'd be hoping to make decisions, sooner rather than later. But now it's kind of let us know how things are going in your tournaments, send us videos, be descriptive.
So they can still communicate with you. There's a point.
Yep, they sure can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I'm glad they're getting to play in tournaments. I mean that
right
because if they weren't even getting to play anything, then we're like, oh gosh, what do we do now? So,
right.
But it's been given what we have to work with, I think it's gone very well. I understand that they're stressed about, golly, what am I going to do? And of course, we're like, Amanda and I are like, well, we got to try to figure out something because let's just say that after August 31st that they do get to start coming on campus. Well, it's going to, we've already started. If everything goes good for us, then we're going to be right in the middle of the season. And typically when the season starts, we'll do some visits here and there. But I'm focusing on the teams. That's my 90% of what I'm focused on. So we're just going to have to travel across that bridge when we come to it. There's just so much uncertainty. It's just kind of the way it is.
So let's help some recruits out there that are looking to play college golf, right? So from your perspective as a coach and sort of evaluating talent, that's one of the questions that I get all the time is what a coach is looking for, right? So how do you look at a player and what is sort of your process in evaluating that player's talent for a potential recruit?
Sure. So, certainly what they shoot is very important.
Scores are important.
That goes without saying, I think, for everybody. But I really like to look at kind of the things that they do aside from what they're shooting. Let's just say we're getting to go to tournaments. I think a lot of coaches will tell you this. We're looking at how they act. We're looking at, how are they when they have a bad stretch of holes? How do they deal with adversity? How are they when they're playing great? Are they, how are they when they get done? Are they acting like, oh man, I'm the greatest, or are they very humble? That kind of thing. How do they treat their parents? How do they treat their playing competitors? How do they talk to the scorer? How do they talk to the starter? What are they doing before and after the round? Social media certainly is important. Things you got to look at there. When they come on visits, the kid needs to do the talking. I realize that well, I shouldn't say kid. The prospective student athlete
Right.
needs to be the one doing the talking.
Yep, not the
now,
parents.
I understand. Like, I mean, obviously, when you and Tiffany and Nick came up, you're going to ask questions. That's cool.
Yeah.
But if it's 90-10 in favor of the parents, that's going to show me like, okay, well, how much is this young man or woman going to be able to take care of themselves when they get here if their parents are
That's
doing
right.
everything for them?
Yep.
Have a list of questions. Don't just come in trying to free will the thing. For goodness sake, put your phone up. I mean, we're giving you 3 or 4 hours of our time.
That's right.
Put it away. Leave it in the car. I mean, I've had visits where, prospects, like I could see them trying to sneak in a text here and there, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Right. This
You
is
know,
your
I mean, come
time.
on,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
why?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not going to get on my soapbox with that. I mean, I'm
No,
on my
it's.
phone all the
I
time
think
too,
it's
but,
it's worth saying. Like, it's so important.
like leave your phone in the car. But if you have to have it on you, put it on silent and give it to your parents. Put it in your pocket. And if you got to take it out, like when you go to the bathroom, take it out. Or when you're away from me, that's when you can take it out. Like, just don't do it. How they. I think like eye contact is something that's pretty important. I mean, my dad always got on to me about that. God bless him. Like, look at him when you talk to him, son.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I still struggle with that sometimes today. It's tough.
Firm handshakes.
Yep.
I mean, little things
exactly.
that make a big difference. I think.
I mean, you need to. I mean, I've seen some crazy swings. I mean, I know you have too.
Yeah.
Being a swing instructor, but hey, listen, if it gets the job done, then who cares?
That's
I
exactly
mean,
right.
if it's repetitive, especially under a pressure situation, then what does it matter? I think that's something a lot of people really, young men and women, really have a difficult time understanding. Like, if it's repeatable and it gets the job done and it holds up under pressure, then it does not matter. In my opinion, now I'm not a swing instructor, so you can correct me here. Like, what really matters is what's that club face doing? Like 6 inches before the ball and 6 inches after the ball. I mean, that foot and a half. That's what really matters.
That's right.
So I mean, like.
So how much do you talk? We discussed this in our visit, and then one thing that I really like about you is you don't try to coach. You don't try to be a swing coach. So how much are you reaching out to their swing coaches, like when you're recruiting them? I think that's such an important thing. I'm always thankful to get a call from a college coach asking about one of my players, because I can really tell them the ins and outs, probably better, maybe even better than the parents.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important now. I would say as the years have gone on, definitely done that more and more, especially when you're getting ready to maybe pull the trigger on a young man, young woman. Look, it's one thing to hear about from their parents how great they are. But, like, if you're hearing it from their swing instructor or their high school teacher or somebody that they're really close to, the same thing. If it matches up, then okay, we're in business. That's good. But we need to talk to people that are going to shoot us straight. And I think I certainly want to try to help them with their swing if they need it. But, like, look, I realize, like, with Nick, you're his instructor. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Just let me know what's going on.
Right. All you do is communicate. Yeah, exactly. You're with them more than I am now, so it's like we do FaceTime stuff, and I give you ideas of like what we're working on, and you can. I think that's great.
Right.
That's so important for the relationship.
And I think like give them. They know their swing better than us. I mean, it's our responsibility to get to know their swings, no question about that. But it doesn't have to look like Adam Scott. It just doesn't. I mean, and I think a lot of players now are so they don't know how to play golf. They're trying to play golf swing instead of golf. Just get it in the hole. It don't matter what it looks like. And that's, when they get in college like that, it's hard for them to understand.
Yeah.
And once they do, then man, they're really going to see a jump in their level of play.
Yeah.
So
you gotta own what you do and understand it. What about emails? Because that's a question I always get asked.
Oh, let me tell you, yes.
Like how important the emails are. Like how often should they be contacting coaches, and then what should they be putting in those emails? I'm trying to. I've got some friends, as you know, like my friend Derek Radley that coaches at Oregon has helped me a ton with this because we were going through it. But also, I'm trying to help my kids that I coach. Like, what's your advice on that?
Okay, well, first of all, when you address the email, make sure it's to the right coach. I think that's very important because if it says, like, if
they haven't copied,
like if they send me an email, they send me an email that says Coach Cabbage, Ryan Cabbage, I'm gonna be like delete. So I mean, like that is a complete waste of time. Been doing it long enough now where you can really tell if it's a copy and paste. But I mean, just as far as like how many times the email, I'm for the most part, like I'm cool with like if you're shooting me an email once a week or something like that, or if you're playing in a tournament, if you want to send one right after, yeah, by all means, please do. That's fine with me.
Follow up and review and all that.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the mass email. I don't think a mass email is a great idea. I think you need to personalize it. When your resume be detailed, I cannot stress enough. Like, don't send me an email saying I finished tied for 5th in so-and-so tournament. Okay, well, how many people were in it?
Right.
What did you shoot? What was the yardage? Like, you can send me, okay, well, I shot 152 at so-and-so golf course and came in 5th. Well, what does that mean? Did you shoot 90, 62? Did you shoot 76, 76? Did you shoot 80, 72? Like, I mean, that's important too because, like, let's say our kid shot 80 the first day, but he comes back and shoots a 68 the second day. Then that's massive to know that, like,
absolutely,
you've got to be detailed. I mean, I don't need a hole-by-hole breakdown.
Yeah.
But certainly put day-to-day scores, what you finished, the field size, and the yardage. And if you can sneak in the weather, that would be helpful too, especially now since we can't be there.
Right. I mean, if you got a decent finish and the score's not super low, you want to say, hey, it was a tough day.
Sure.
Obviously it's definitely, relative to whatever that day looked like, right? It could be super windy or whatever, rainy.
And I would, what I would tell, like if I went back to high school as a high school coach, I would tell them, look, your freshman year, when they come in, I'd be like, look, are you interested in playing college golf? Okay, yes, coach, I'm interested. Well, you need to start an Excel sheet now. And just every tournament you play, like I'll help you with it. I'll say, okay, you put the name of the tournament, field size, blah, 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 and run that spreadsheet until you go to college.
That's great advice.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know some of them don't know if they want to do it until maybe they're a junior. That's cool too.
Yeah, but nowadays, it's like that's almost
it's
too
sixth
late.
grade.
It's really tough.
So I mean, like, I think keeping records of that stuff is outstanding. I want an email from the player. I mean,
right.
I'll never forget this. I had this young man. Obviously, I'm not going to mention the name or nothing like that, but like his father was always sending me emails. And look, that's okay. But I finally emailed him back, and I was like, sir, I really appreciate you. And emails, it's hard to tell the tone, that kind of stuff. I was like, sir, I'm really not trying to be disrespectful at all by sending you this, but could you please have your son email me? I appreciate the updates, blah, 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 but I would really like to hear from your son. And I don't do that, but I was like, golly, man, I mean, come on.
No,
it's
it's valid.
To do it.
Yeah. That's the advice I'm always giving to my kids is like, you need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents, and it's just like coming for a golf lesson. Like it drives me crazy when I ask the kid a question and the parents start telling me about the kid. I'm like, you can leave right now because I need to know from his mouth.
That's another thing. What we look for too is like when we make those phone calls to other people, like we're going to ask, like, what are the parents like?
Absolutely.
Now, granted, they're not going to be here, but like when we're going to tournaments, I don't need a helicopter. I don't need.
Right.
I don't know. When people listen to this, you're going to be like, God, this guy's like.
No,
he
this
just
is
sounds so
stuff.
jaded.
No, this is great. No, this is the stuff that we need to hear.
But like, good. I don't need. Look. Special circumstances, extraordinary circumstances, yes, I'm going to talk to parents if it's warranted. I mean, that's very, very rare. Mm-hmm. But, like, let me do my job. You've trusted us to take care of your son or your daughter.
That's
then
right.
Let us do our job. And, we know you'll be there. But, I mean, that's the nicest way I know to put it. So.
No, that's perfect. I'm sure every college coach in America is like jumping up and down right now. That is exactly what we want to say because I get it. Like I said, I'm dealing with junior golf parents out there that you got to deal with. If they come
God bless you,
you.
Jason, man. God bless you. I bet you got some classics you can tell on here.
I do.
But hey. I mean, it is what it is. So
no, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, so let's move into coaching a little bit.
Sure.
Because really, what I love about you in your style, and you can sort of elaborate on what you think your coaching style is I like that you're data driven. you keep great records. You make the kids do the stats. Where did that come from? And then also, how does that influence like the way you get the most out of your kids in their performance?
I love numbers. I mean, I was going to teach math. For the longest time, we did a lot of Excel. I did this thing on Excel where we put all the stuff in, and but we're actually going to. I think this year we're going to do an upgrade. We're going to do something a little different. So
because I was impressed with last year. I thought
so we'll see.
The stats were great.
We'll see how it goes, but I think yes, numbers aren't everything, but they can tell a lot of the story, and it really helps us to kind of. I mean, we coach both teams. We coach 18 to 20 players. We can't be there with you every single shot of every day that you're out there to see exactly what you need to do. So, I mean, that kind of stuff's going to help us with practice and whatnot. So, it's very, very important. And I think in a lot of ways you can use it to as a positive, like, hey, man, you're doing this really, really well. Because sometimes they may think they're doing well in the area, but then they see it and they're like, oh, wow, I really am. I mean, you can use it to, like, for example, when Nick comes back this year after the fall, we'll probably sit down and I'll be like, okay, let's look at last fall, let's look at this fall, and kind of say, okay, where have you really, in the past year, where have you really improved? Where do we need to continue to work? Things like that. So, but I love it.
Yeah, and it I love the fact that you keep them accountable, and in that you mentioned it. You mentioned it earlier about the importance of sort of teaching them life skills as well as just making them better players, and I really appreciate that about you and your style. And that sounds like you got that from Coach Nichols for sure.
Yeah, I mean Yes, I mean just the way he treated us and the responsibility he gave over to us. That's been a challenge over the years. I feel like I've loosened up the reins quite a bit. They may disagree. That's cool.
It's okay.
But I mean, come play for me in 2011 and see what you think. Yeah. So
right.
I think having those tough conversations with them can be a challenge at times because I don't like to. I mean, as a human being, I don't want to be that way with people. It's just not the way to be.
But you're the coach. I mean, you got.
I know. I have to be.
That's right.
And that is a challenge for me. I'll just be honest. But I think each year I'm getting more and more comfortable doing that. And then to hold them accountable, that is something that has to happen. Because once they think it's hard now, this ain't nothing compared to post college.
That's right.
So, and it's our responsibility to, if we're not going to do anything else but get them ready for life outside of college, then that's the most important thing.
I wanted to get your feedback on any practice strategies because I think you do a great job of setting up practices, getting them motivated to do different things. And I know you set up their qualifying rounds or their practice rounds differently on the course. So any tips or tricks? You don't have to share all of them, but anything that you can share would be kind of cool. I think for the players or the coaches. I
think that you need to. Well, what we try to do, I guess, is we're trying to figure out a way to make it challenging but yet fun, and we only get them so much every day. Certainly, they can come out there extra if they want, but as far as we want them to do, I like doing something where there's a beginning drill, when you arrive to practice, to kind of get your mind all right, here we go. And then maybe an exit ticket, so to speak. Okay, let's have you do this before you leave, one little challenge before you leave. It's a mixture of structured stuff and freedom. I think you got to give them time, unless you're doing a qualifier, an 18-hole qualifier that day. You got to give them some time to do what they need to do. Certainly for the junior golfers out there, anything you can do inside 100 yards is going to make you so much better. You'd be amazed at, if you spent the majority of your time with your wedges and your putting, it's amazing how the rest of your game, it seems like it just gets better. And I think a lot of that's because you're more comfortable knowing hey, if I miss a green, I'm going to be fine. But if your short game's not good, you're putting more pressure on everything else, and when you put more pressure on everything else, it's harder to swing freely. It's just like a chain effect, so to speak. But I would definitely anything we can make them do that's with putting or short game related, we're going to try to do that. We try to, especially with the guys and girls both. But since your child is your son plays for us, talking strictly about the guys team, I would say that anything we can do to have them compete against each other is going to go a long way. They love to compete. That's huge. You had
kind of an interesting point system there the last break too. How did that work out? And can you explain how you came up with that? I thought it was almost like a FedEx Cup type of deal.
Yeah, I'd heard about it originally from Kirk Caden at Mercer down in Macon, Georgia. But then, golly, who else did I hear about? You see this stuff on Twitter. All these programs doing stuff like this.
Right.
We had talked about it for a while, maybe a year and a half, and I was like, okay, let's actually try to do this to make practice more meaningful. It should be meaningful anyway, but you get that, okay, let's make it to where they're more engaged and they're not fizzling out, towards the end or at the beginning or something like that. So we did a point system based on the importance of if it's just a qualifier, it was worth X amount of points based on how you finished. If it was a tournament, you'd get certain points based on how you finished. If it was some sort of practice, we would try to incorporate it then. We would do teams, 4-man squads, 4-woman squads, 2-person teams, singles. And then we would continually update that through the course of the year. We only got to the end of March. We started in January, but and after each week, I would send an update to the teams. I'd email them their schedule for the week coming up, and then I would say, okay, this is where things are with we call them the power rankings, and we're gonna do something. We're gonna do it again this year, more than likely. And I think once August hits, we'll really dive in and kind of figure out exactly how we're going to do it, because I think it just makes it. It's very challenging for. And this is not just. I'm not just picking on the student athletes, but if you're getting up at 6 o'clock or 5:30 to go to workouts, and then you're going to class, and then you're grabbing a bite to eat, you've already been up for 6-7 hours, and then if you have class until 2 or 3, and then I still got to go to practice. If you, they should want to do that, of course, and most times they do. But if you can add a little wrinkle in there and be okay, because we send them a practice, what they're going to do for practice, if they're practicing on Wednesday, we'll send it to them Tuesday night, hey, you're doing this tomorrow. If they see what's going on, then that can add a level of excitement to otherwise a day where, okay, well today I'm just going to go in and pound some balls for an hour and a half and go to study hall. Something like that. But if you add that wrinkle, and of course, nobody wants to be 9th out of 9 players on the power rankings.
Whatever. Regardless of what you say, you don't want to be last.
Yeah, you're trying to instill a more competitive edge with them. I think that the teams loved it, and we're going to do something with that, and then we're going to have something kind of a little extra added onto that this year. Which I can't let the cat out of the bag right now.
Yeah, no. But you got to keep that to yourself. But I just thought it was cool because I think it's definitely motivating. Again, you're just trying to figure out that little slight edge to, get the most out of your team.
And
so I thought it was cool.
We were going to do so I'm sure you've seen on Twitter where schools like North Carolina, Purdue, and they had these massive. A board that had the names of the players, that had key stats that they wanted to keep, and that is something that we are going to do eventually. We were looking into. It just didn't work out this year. I'll just leave it at that. But that's something that and we were going to put it in the hallway at the club where everybody can see it.
There you go.
So hey,
leaderboards work, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. That's basically what it was. Yeah. So eventually that's going to happen. We'll see.
All right, so I reached out to the team and your staff.
Oh God!
To get questions. All right, so got some fun questions for you now. But the first one is from me, and it actually was came up on the Scott Stallings pod was the weatherman story. You got to tell the weatherman story from your perspective. We heard it from Scott's, so give us your perspective of the weatherman story.
Well, knowing that some of my players are going to be listening.
They're all going to listen.
Well, let's just say that. This is a tough. I don't know how to put this into. I can't sit here and tell you exactly what happened. I mean,
well,
you know
can
that, right?
Just give me the PG. Yeah.
I think
was the Scott Stallings story, because you heard the Scott pod? Was that pretty accurate as far as what?
Pretty accurate. We'll just say that fun times were had, and the weatherman is permanently retired at Carolina Avenue, A14. We'll just say
nice.
If you want to find the weatherman, go to A14 Carolina Avenue. It's right across the street from the Emerald Fields.
And go back to listen to the Scott Stallings pod if you want to feel.
He may have embellished a little bit, but I mean, hey, what's a story if you can't embellish on it? You know,
exactly right.
But I mean, for the most part, yes, what he said was fair.
All right, cool. All right, so next question. What do you feel? These are some good. I was very impressed with your team. They gave me some really good stuff. What do you feel would be a successful career for a player in your program? And what are some of the things that you look for? And we've already talked about this, but what do you look for in high school recruits? So we can kind of brush over that. But I think the first question is very good.
A successful career. Well, getting a degree for sure. Let's see. How do I say this? I mean, we want to see continual improvement. Okay, this is the golf part. We'll just start with the golf part first.
Right.
We want to see continual improvement from year to year. I mean, if you're the same player that you were when you walk out of here as the day that you walked in, then we have failed you, but you have also not done your part.
It's a team effort.
Right. I mean, the player, like Cameron Yeary. That's a good example. So, you know, he was, let's just say when he came into Tech, he was a certain type of player. And when he finished his career this past March, like, he was substantially better. He improved every year substantially. Like, I mean, very, very much different player than he was when he first got here. And as far as the man he became from, I mean, obviously when they come in their freshman year, most of the time they're quiet, reserved, don't say much. You know, they're going to be very respectful. But like I could tell that he's ready for life outside of golf.
Yeah, great kid.
I mean,
really impressive.
And I mean, I'm not trying to like put him up here, you know, and everybody else over here, or whatever. That's the first person that came to mind when you asked that question. Just if I feel like personally that they're ready for life outside of college, then in my mind they've had a successful career. I mean, yeah, of course, being all OVC and winning some tournaments and helping us win tournaments as teams. I mean, that's certainly things we look at. But I mean, I've had some players that came in here, girls or guys, that, wow, they were not that player when they left. When they got here, they were way better. But just seeing them grow as people. I mean, I can think of a young man on the team that when he got here, like, I could barely get a peep out of him. And now, like, it's like you and I are talking. I mean, I get that, like, obviously he's growing up. He's getting more comfortable being around us and things like that. You'd be surprised. Maybe you wouldn't. But you'd be surprised how hard it is for some young men and women to be able to have a conversation.
I believe it.
And, I mean, like, it's really cool to see. And I'm not trying to be critical of any of them because I love them all and I'd do anything in the world for any of them. But it's really cool to see them grow in an aspect like that as well. So,
No, that's
I don't know if that's really the best way to answer.
No, I think it's a great answer. No, I think it's good. And it kind of leads me into the second question is, what do you think the biggest adjustment from high school to college golf is for kids?
Time management. I think, we're going to hit you in the face pretty quick when you get here. You're going to have a lot of moving parts, a lot of distractions. In some ways it is structured, but in some ways it's like, hey, this is all on you, man. So, like, you got to figure it out. I mean, we're going to be here to help you every step of the way, mind you, but time management is huge. I think that for a lot of people that we've had come in, high school was not that hard. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the high schools they went to or the teachers or nothing like that, but man, it's different here. I mean, any college, so like right away, like you're going to have a lot of things to do. I mean, 20 hours is all we can make you practice. We got to give you a day off a week. Learning to rest and actually like rest. Going to your apartment or your dorm room and stay and just chilling in your apartment until 1 before you go to bed and work out at 6 o'clock. That's not rest. Like literally like go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, like, I mean, you can stay up all night and be okay, I guess, but it's going to catch up to you. We've had some good conversations with the guys and girls over the years about, priorities and things like that. I mean, it can be a challenge. I'd say time management and getting rid of distractions. Saying no. Those are the two biggest challenges, I think.
All right, next one. What wins you over when watching a potential recruit? We've talked a little bit about this, but just it's sort of the highlights. So I get all these questions in from your boys.
Wins you over. I think how they handle I mean, you want them to play good golf, but when they start hitting a stretch where it's a struggle, like that's where we really start to zero in. Like, okay, how are they going to handle this? Like
how they handle adversity.
Yep, their grit, their ability to, deal with tough situations and around in life. Like, no complaining. That will certainly win me over. Things like that. 'Cause, I mean,
love it. Yeah.
Those are big. I mean, I want them to play good and that kind of stuff, but just how they handle adversity and their grit, that's something that I really pay attention to.
All right, same young man. Favorite putting training aid and the favorite drill to practice.
These are coming from my players?
Yeah, those are your players. There's some good ones. There's some better ones coming.
Favorite training aid. Wow. Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, the TrackMan is awesome. I mean, I got to be honest with you. That's so like probably a lame answer to give.
No, that's good.
The TrackMan's great. I love our the TrackMan. And then what was the other part again?
Favorite drill to practice.
Favorite drill to practice.
So that could be anything like maybe you give to the team to work on.
I love one of my favorite putting drills is it's like the 2 through 8 drill. Like, so you set up like a tees, each one from 2 to 8 feet, but you kind of set it up like it almost looks like a hurricane. It's like the hurricane drill.
Right.
So you like you kind of do it like, this is terrible. You're doing it kind of like that.
Yeah.
And so like
they
basically
can't see you on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks like a hurricane.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like the superstar drill, which is basically like east, west, north, south.
And so you have to make, what was it, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's what is like 6 or 7 putts in a row, something like that. And you just knock them out all 7 in a row. But if you miss one, you kind of have to rotate the tees over like a foot over and then set it all up again and do it that way. But I mean, like as a coach, like you don't want to make something that's impossible. The last thing, like if they're coming to the practice, I mean, you want to make it challenging to where they feel like they've accomplished something, but you don't want to make it so hard where like they're going to come in and they're going to get so mad after a certain point in time. That's like mental toughness. That's another thing. Like it tests your mental toughness too. It ain't just about like, are you a good putter? It's like how mentally tough are you to be able to get through this drill?
Right.
But that's a great drill. I mean, God, there's a lot of putting drills.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
Or the 3, 4, 5, 6, or the 3, 4, 5. They hate that drill. Which I mean, if I had to do it, I probably wouldn't be a fan either. You're making 12 in a row, 4 at 3 feet, 4 at 4 feet, 4 at 5 feet. Make all 12. That's a good one.
All right, next one. What has changed in your coaching skill set and plan since you've started coaching?
Oh.
That actually gives me, like, I was going to ask you earlier, that I sort of brushed over it a little bit, was sort of what do you do on a daily basis or a yearly basis to improve your coaching, whether it's like certifications, going to seminars. Is there anything that reading books? I mean, I don't know, anything that you can share that you do to try to improve yourself as a coach?
Sure. I mean, going to coaching conventions. I mean, there's one in Vegas every year. We try to go to that.
Right.
I mean, this may sound lame to say, but like, I'm not a big reader of books. I mean, that's kind of more of Amanda's field, but like, Mike McGraw, who's the coach at Baylor, he put a book out that I got and read. Excellent. I mean, that guy coached Oklahoma State. I mean, in Baylor, he's just a legend. I think, honestly, the players teach me a lot every year as far as like how to deal with situations. I think I'm trying to, over the years, I can't say that I haven't completely gotten a more open mind, but like each year I feel like I've gotten a little bit more of an open mind as far as like what's going to help them. Whereas when I first got the job, like I was like, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
More flexible maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I think I am. Now, like I said, you line all 18 of them up, they're probably going to say, no, he's not. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, like hearing what they think. I mean, sometimes the truth hurts, man. I mean, being more understanding of their time and what they have going on in their life, that certainly has gotten better over the years. Because at first I was like, look, you're here. This is what you're here to do, and I don't want to hear anything else. You know, I mean, it's empathy is not something I'm very good at. I'm trying to get better at it. It's not. I'm just the type of like, look, I mean, this is what you're here to do, and do it. So I mean that is. I mean, I think they would all say like, you know, I'm probably not the most empathetic person, and I mean, I'd be the first to agree with that. Like,
well, at least you're self-aware.
I'm trying to do better at that. I mean, like, and you know, when Carlo was the coach, and now that with Amanda being the coach, like they've certainly helped me like see the other side and see their point of view, see the player's point of view better. Yeah. I feel like I do see it, but I need to see it better than what I do. Because I want it so bad for them, and what really is tough as a coach is like, if you want it worse than them, then we're in trouble. Okay, like I can't want it worse than you. If that's the case, and there's been situations where that has been the case, then like this isn't going to work. You know, so like, and I think sometimes like, as far as like practice and the freedom we give them to practice, I definitely have loosened that up over the years. So I don't even know if that answered your question. But
no, that was great. Yeah.
Or their question.
No, yeah, it leads into the next one is what's the most rewarding part of coaching to you? That's a deep one, but I think it's a great question.
It kind of goes back to what we talked about a couple of questions ago, just seeing how they evolve as a human being over the 4 or 5 years that they're here. I mean, we get such a short amount of time with them. I mean, God willing, they're going to live a long, prosperous life. You know, if they live 75, 80 years, however long it is, we're with them for such a small amount. You know, 4 years is nothing. You know, I'm continuing to get older. They're all going to be the same age for as long as I do this. You know, so I've got to learn to adjust to what works for them. But seeing them evolve, and I've had some young men and women that they were just completely different. They changed quite a bit in their time that was here for the better. Not that they weren't bad to begin with, but just seeing them evolve over the course of the time. And I mean, I've made my fair share of mistakes. And just be honest with you, I mean, I have, and you know, I hope to make all those right, you know, in time. And but seeing them evolve, and I mean, when they do really get in school, man, that pumps me up. I mean, I want them to do great in golf. Don't get me wrong, we want to win championships, we want to go to conference, we want to do things we've never done here. But watching them graduate and do well in school, that makes me happier than anything else. Because, I mean, look, you're preparing yourself for life, and golf ain't everything. That's hard to understand. I had a hard time understanding that when I was their age. But, like, the way the girls and the guys did this year, holy cow, I couldn't be more excited.
Yeah,
it was
they
great.
did well, for sure. All right, so of all your years at Tech, and it says student, athlete, and coach, what's something that sticks out to you when you look back on your career?
Counting when I played?
Yeah, I think it's student, athlete, and coach. So I guess it could be any three. Yeah.
Okay. I remember. When I played, we'll talk about that first. So when I played. When we lost conference my senior year, my 5th year, when we got beat in the playoff at conference against EKU. That was brutal. But that's something I still think about. Not like stew on it every day, like, God, I can't believe we didn't win,
Yeah.
But I think about that. I think about I'd go back and do it all again. I mean, even though I'm a complete nervous wreck when I play golf, I'd go back and do it again. Just the relationships with all those guys. I mean, those are my brothers. I didn't have any real brothers growing up. I was the only child. But then as far as coaching, man, I mean, like, I don't know how I got through that first year. I really don't. I mean, it was tough. And then now kind of seeing where the program is. I mean, it's hard as a coach not to look at just wins and losses.
Yeah.
You know, how successful. And when you think success, you're like, well, how much have you won? I mean, golf, you're going to lose a lot more than you win. But just I really feel like the program is better now than when I first got here. And, I mean, that's not – I meant like just as a whole. I'm not talking about just – it's just a good place to be. I think that seeing just the relationships I've made with the young men and women on the teams, seeing them grow up and seeing what a lot of them are doing post-tech has been pretty cool to see.
Yeah. All right, couple more, and these are kind of fun.
Okay.
I don't know how you're going to answer this one, but I'm going to ask it because one of the boys asked it. Who hits the nastiest, highest bombs on the team? You can probably figure out who asked the question, but I'm not going to say.
Well,
I know who the longest is, but
I mean, it'd have to be. I'm going through my roster right now. I mean, it'd have to be. I'm going to leave somebody out answering this question. This is going to be awful. I'm going to get destroyed for this. It'd have to be Will or Dab, I would guess.
yeah, I think Will's the longest.
Yeah.
And he didn't ask the question, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to
That's
think of
pretty
this.
funny.
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be one of them two, I would think. I mean, they hit it so far, Jason. I mean, this is,
I know. I've seen it.
I can't. It just blows my mind.
All right, last one. You're off the hot seat. So name your top 3 restaurants in Cookeville.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Chick-fil-A, of course. I mean, are you talking about sit down like for real restaurants?
You gotta name a local, right, or something.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm going to name. I'll name a local. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I love. Golly. I mean, LTAP is fantastic.
I knew that was going to come out.
Yeah, but that I mean, I think like Crawdaddy's is really good. I'm gonna when I get off here and be like, why did I say that? I should have said this.
It always happens.
One more.
What's the fanciest restaurant in Cookeville?
Oh, the fanciest is Mauricio's.
Okay.
It's like in a little Italian joint. It's right next to the hospital. It's literally in a house, like an old house. So it's pretty solid.
Gotcha.
I've only been there like twice, but we just got a McAllister's, so yeah, it's pretty good.
There you go.
But no, I mean, like I'd say LTAP, Crawdaddy's. I mean, 7 Cents is really good. 37. Father Tom's. I love Father Tom's.
We went there one time.
Yeah,
I like that place
is
too.
great. Yep.
Cool. All right, man, you're off the hot seat. That was all your boys right there.
Okay.
All right, so last question. Everybody has to answer this question at the end of the pod
sure.
if you've listened.
Yep.
If you could have a gigantic billboard and get a message out to billions of people, basically to the world, what would your billboard say and why? It could be a mantra, a quote, something you live by, anything that you would want to leave with the listeners.
Okay, so I'm sure you've probably heard about this before. Like, there's that saying that goes something along the lines of like, you've got a beginning date and an end date. You know, what are you doing with your dash? You're born. I was born in '82. Whenever I die, on your headstone you're going to have like the beginning and the end.
Right.
And there's a dash in the middle. Like, what are you going to do with your dash?
I love it. I've never heard that. That's a great way to put it.
And then I would also say like just I mean, the things are going on in the world today. I mean, I love Twitter. I love Instagram, but man, Twitter is just it's a cesspool, man. Like
it's getting out of hand.
It's nice to see. Like, I don't know if you follow Rex Chapman, but like he puts some really good stuff on there.
Trying to get him on the pod, actually.
Yeah, so I mean, like,
if anybody out there knows how I can DM'd him, that would be a cool interview.
I mean, that thing you put on there yesterday with the mom that had the young boy or girl with cerebral palsy, and like he wanted to be a skateboard, and like she made this thing where he could stand up and like literally stand on the skateboard, and she pushed it around like kind of like a grocery cart kind of deal. I mean, like that, just be, treat people the right way. I mean, and like just try to see the good in people. There's just so much hate out there. I mean, and like we got to overcome it with love, and that's so like cliche. I know that, but I mean, but the Dash thing, like, what are people going to? My thing is like, what are people going to say about you when you're gone? What do you want them to have to? Yeah. What do you want them to have to say about you when you're gone? I mean, that's the thing.
That's right.
So that would
absolutely good stuff, man. Thank you so much for your time, man. This has been great.
Yeah.
Aside from the dog distractions, I think it's going to be a fantastic show, and I appreciate you sharing your insight, and it's going to help a lot of people out there. So, anything I haven't asked you, or do you want to give out your Twitter handle? It's optional.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at Polk Not Paul, PolkNotPaul, because usually when I introduce people, they say I'm Paul the first time around. It's not Paul. It's Polk.
Okay.
I mean, almost every coach has their, like TTU, Coach Brown, whatever. But I've had that since I started Twitter, so I'm not changing it. But I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and it's just been a pleasure to talk to you, and I mean, just treat people right, man. I mean, that's all I really know to say.
Absolutely, so thank you, man. You're the best.
All right, thank you. All right.
You got it.
See ya.
What's up, everyone? Guru back here again with a couple of things before you go. First, big thank you to Coach Brown for coming on the show and sharing his story and his incredible knowledge and insight on coaching and college golf that I know are going to help a lot of you young junior golfers out there, and also some of you teachers out there that are coaching some kids that want to play college golf, as there was a lot of great insight being dropped by a great coach. Also, make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at Polk Not Paul, and give him a social wave, and give Tech a follow on the IG at Tennessee Tech Men's Golf. It's TN Tech Men's Golf and TN Tech Women's Golf for the women's side. Also, thank you again to our sponsors. My new sponsor, Straight Down Apparel, which I just signed with and very excited about. Also, thank you to enviedhemp.com and Swing U. If you're going to buy your CBD products, go to enviedhemp.com and use the code GURU20 for a 20% discount for life. Can't beat that. Make sure you go to the App Store and download the Golf Guru app for you players out there and coaches. I've got tons of new content coming out, and my new website that you can check out at golfgurutv.net will be up and running hopefully in the next week, where you can find videos, articles, and information on my teaching and coaching. And also make sure you leave your email so you can get the weekly newsletter with more videos and some cool content. If you have a question or comment, you can email me at the show at golfgurushow@gmail.com, or just hit me up on the DM like most of you. Thank you so much for the DMs and the love. This show and all episodes of the Golf Guru Show were produced by myself, Jason Sutton. Music is by Kevin MacLeod and Zach Mullett. And then, as I always leave you with, the mantra that I live and breathe: study, practice, teach, and then pass it on. I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for listening.